This is our Earth, undamaged by the pollution of man. How did this beauty, that once covered the whole Earth, become the polluted cities we see today? One of the culprits? Transportation. Human transportation didn't always harm the environment. Thousands of years ago, humans traveled by foot, leaving nothing but footprints. Even as recent as 150 years ago, humans still use clean methods of transportation, like horses. But this all changed with the invention of industrial transportation. The first practical steam locomotive was built in 1814. Steam-powered airplanes and automobiles came soon after in 1852 and 1885. And with technology advancing, these methods of transportation are getting easier and faster than ever. Cars, planes, and trains now account for almost all of human traveling. And while these methods of transportation have made life a lot easier and more convenient for us, they have a very negative effect on the environment. These methods of transportation release CO2 and other harmful gases into the atmosphere, which has a number of negative effects, including global warming, the depletion of the ozone layer, and damaged air quality.
What exactly is carbon dioxide? It is a colorless gas that has a faint, sharp odor and a slightly sour taste. Humans breathe it out, and plants breathe it in to turn it into oxygen again. It is a nice balance. However, when humans burn fossil fuels, more carbon dioxide is released than plants could breathe in, and it unbalances the natural balance. These extra carbon dioxide is released from factories, released from flames, released from cars, and without enough plants to breathe it in, they remain in the atmosphere and grow to become more and more. At the start of the 19th century, the CO2 level of the atmosphere was 280 parts per million. That means that there are 280 pounds of carbon dioxide in every 1 million pounds of air. According to climate.gov, the CO2 levels surpassed 400 parts per million this year. While there are many causes to this rapid increase, the biggest cause is transportation. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, transportation accounts for 28% of the 38.2 billion metric tons released to the atmosphere each year. That's almost 11 billion metric tons. If emissions are not cut down, NASA predicts that CO2 levels will continue to rise by 3 parts per million each year.
CO2 is a greenhouse gas. And as a greenhouse gas, it will naturally warm up the environment. Though needed, CO2 in excess causes many environmental problems.
Global rising temperatures has led to the melting of glaciers at the poles, endangering many of the animals living there and causing the ocean's levels to rise. Global warming can also make an ecosystem very dry. I am here at Yosemite National Park, and as you can see, the dry conditions have made this wildfire very hard to control. Cars also release other harmful pollutants into the air, damaging the air quality. One of the countries most affected by the pollutants released into the air by cars is India, which, as you can see, has very poor air quality. And this air quality has reduced the life expectancy of India by 3.5 years. Environmentalists are constantly fighting CO2 emissions on our Earth. There are many ways to reduce the CO2 emissions of cars. One way is public transportation. Taking public transportation like the bus or trains take many people at once, which allows them to reduce the overall CO2 emissions to the atmosphere. Plus, who knows, maybe you'll make a new friend. Another way to reduce the CO2 emissions of cars is by not using one at all. Bikes are a safe method of transportation that not only releases no CO2 to the atmosphere, but it also keeps you in shape. And remember, don't forget your helmet. If public transportation just isn't your thing, you might want to try carpooling. Carpooling is a great way to cut the CO2 emissions in half, because you can take 2 people with just 1 car. Plus, you might save some time driving in the carpool lane.
In terms of transportation, we can use our research and development to create more solutions that will help to reduce our CO2 emissions into the environment. Some of those ideas would be things like biofuels or algal fuels, and that would be an environmental help to do things like hydrogen fuel cells or other alternative fuels.